Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Lady Quiche Uncut. Now, today's video is going to be about mental health awareness. Mental health awareness is basically just admitting that you have a problem and knowing it and accepting it. Everybody has a touch of mental illness, whether it may be depression, whether it's anxiety, whether it's bipolar, whatever. Everybody has something that goes on in their mind. And mental illness sometimes can just mean a chemical unbalance in the brain, you know. So, when I had to basically become aware that I had a problem, was one day at Walmart. One day at Walmart, I had a manic episode. And that manic episode was spouting off at the mouth saying that Oprah was going to buy me a new house. I changed my clothes at the service counter. I didn't get completely naked, but I got down to my bra and panties and I changed my clothes at the front counter. I went there to make a return and to steal, kind of. But I didn't really want to steal, but that's what I was kind of getting ready to do there. I was getting ready to put some extra stuff in my cart, but what happened was I ended up not being able to do that because when I went to the service counter and changed my clothes, they stopped me. They stopped me and I told them to call the police because I wanted to do it before they did, so I could get my story out there first and so I wouldn't get arrested, and also so they wouldn't try to hurt me. And I also told them to call Crisis. Now, if you don't know, Crisis is a helpline far as things with mental illness and mental health issues. They come to assess the situation before the police do. Now, if the police get there first, they'll still call Crisis depending on the situation. And when Crisis gets there, they'll try to place you either in a mental hospital or the care center or, just a placement to get you some help. So what happened is when they came, I started to spout off at the mouth still about Oprah and all that extra stuff. But at the same time, I had a plot. The plot is that I wanted to get something extra. And they gave me my bags. I was so hyperactive. Now, with mental illness, sometimes you have your highs and you have your lows. This particular time, I was having a high. And I do have my lows. That's for another video. But this particular time, I was having a high. So I had to literally smoke a Black and Mild. I told them to get me a Black and Mild, and they got me a Black and Mild. I lit it, and I smoked it, and it kind of relaxed me a little bit. Now, how I was acting and everything, they had already assessed the situation and decided what they were going to try to do with me. So they told me that they wanted to take me to the hospital. And I'm like, take me to the hospital for what? I'm fine. Take me to the hospital for what? I'm fine. And they said, well, Markeisha, we just got to make sure, so we're going to take you to the hospital. I'm like, okay. My car was still parked at Walmart in their parking lot. So what happened is two crisis workers came. One crisis worker, she got in the back of the squad car with me to go to Aurora Medical Hospital. And the other crisis worker took my car and parked it in the hospital parking lot. Now, with that being said, they took me to a hospital room and they started to talk to me. I didn't want to hear anything that they were saying, and I was recording it on my phone. I don't have that phone anymore, so I can't show you that recording, but I was recording on my phone everything that was happening. They told me, okay, Markeisha, we need you to put the phone down. We have something serious to tell you. So I was still hyper, really, really hyper. So before they told me what they had to tell me, they gave me a shot. I asked them not to give me anything that made me go to sleep. You know what they did? They gave me something that made me go to sleep. So I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I was still loopy and very out of it. So then they called a judge, and he signed the paperwork to have me chaptered. Now, if you don't know what that means, chaptered is you don't have a say, it's against your will, and you're going to a mental hospital against your will because you have been chaptered. Now, when I went to the mental hospital, before I got there, they handcuffed me to a wheelchair, and I couldn't even walk. I was so loopy and out of it. But then they got me in the car. I can't remember if they handcuffed me in the car or not. I'm pretty sure they probably did. But I was still just sleeping. I was laid across the bench. I was laid across the seat in the back. And when I woke up, I was in Winnebago. Winnebago is a little town in Oshkosh, 2 hours from Kenosha. So when I went to Winnebago, I was furious because I was very unconscious in the first place, so I barely knew what was going on. And so once they got me there, I was furious. I was spouting off at the mouth, telling them what I was and wasn't gonna do. So what they did was they ambushed me. 5 people came at me and put me in a room, picked me up, put me in a room with only a camera and a toilet in there. Now, that room was recording what I was doing. I don't have access to that recording either, but that room was recording me. Then, then after that, I went on ahead and I calmed down. At first, before I got in that room, when I got in that room, I was banging on the door. I was telling them to let me out. I was screaming and hollering. And then something just finally just told me in my mind, listen, you need to calm down. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for you to calm down. So that's what I did. I relaxed. I calmed down. They finally let me out. No, they didn't let me out. I'm sorry. Before that, they kept 5 people, the same 5 people that brought me in there came in there, pinned me to the wall, and they gave me 2 shots on my butt by my hip. So at that point, I was traumatized. I could not believe that that happened to me. But there's a blessing in this lesson. I went on ahead and I sat down. Before I sat down, I'm sorry, the story is a little spotty, but this actually happened, guys. I'm not lying. So before I got a chance to sit down and answer questions, they made me take a shower. Before they took the shower, they made me do a 360 so they can check my body for burns, bruises, cuts, tattoos, piercings, and make sure that I didn't have anything going on before I got in there. And then they made me bend over and cough to make sure I wasn't hiding anything. So then they made me take a shower. They gave me this funky old state jogging suit that smelled like BO and whatever else. But I had to be there. I didn't have a choice. I went to Walmart. I did what I did. And that was my consequence. So then, because they could have took me to jail how I was acting. But instead, the crisis worker talked them into letting me go to the mental hospital and going that route, which I'm grateful for. So after that, I started the admission process as far as talking to the social workers, the doctors, everything like that. And so when I talked to they put me on this medicine called Lexapro. Now, Lexapro is a psych med, and basically it's to make you relax. It's to keep you mellowed out. But that medicine made me manic. I was literally so angry on that medicine. I was so mad, and I was just spouting out at the mouth once again. I had cursed out the doctor. I told him that I can't believe you sitting up asking me all these questions, and the paper is sitting right in front of you. So what questions could you possibly have when you have all my records and papers right in front of you? He was like, wow, wow. He really couldn't believe it. He just met me. He was pretty nice, a little cocky, but pretty nice. And he couldn't believe that I treated him like that. So what he did was he put down that I had allergic reaction to Lexapro. So they put me on another medicine called Latuda. Now, Latuda, it helped, but it also made me feel like a zombie. So then but I was calm. I was participating in group. I wasn't manic. I wasn't yelling or cussing anybody out. It worked. It just made me feel like a zombie. So they ended up releasing me and letting me go home. And so I was on Latuda for about, I want to say 3, almost 4 years. And it stopped working for me, so they took me off of it. Now, but the moral of the story is, if I hadn't realized that I had a problem and went with them and literally became aware of my mental health issues, I could have been in jail. I could have been killed. I could have been locked up even still to this day, for all I know. So it's very important that you pay attention to your mental health. Now, that's all for today. May God bless you. May He keep you. May He bless your body, mind, soul, spirit, and finances. My life has been a journey and not for the weak.